Welcome to the I-80 Club. Josh Peterson and Jack Mitchell with you on, at least in Omaha, a snowy Saturday morning. Jack, hello. How are you today?
Good morning. How's it going?
Doing well. We have a fun episode on tap for everybody. Jeff Sheldon, Lincoln Arneal are going to join us in just a few minutes from Volleyball State to talk about Nebraska's Elite Eight run, a dominating victory last night over Kansas. So we'll talk with them about that very, very shortly. We'll do some football stuff, some hoop stuff as well. Jack, getting ready for a big weekend. I saw a tweet. Ooh. Everyone's been sharing that tweet, the graphic, right? That Nebraska is the only program in the country with an undefeated men's and women's basketball team and volleyball program. And I didn't want to respond snarkally, but yeah, obviously.
Nobody has undefeated. There's no other undefeated volleyball program. You could have just ended it there.
Just do the basketball. I mean, yes, of course, it's all the more interesting and fascinating. But come on, nobody else has an undefeated volleyball team. What are we doing here?
Wild,
yeah,
wild. But it is pretty fun. The contrast from getting out, man. What a different world getting out of football season and into the combination of volleyball and basketball being the focus, and just pure positivity, at least for the time being, in those three sports.
I was going to say everybody's happy right now. Everybody's happy right now with what's going on with the Nebraska volleyball and the Nebraska basketball program. So we'll talk about all of that and more. And again, they're going to join us, Jeff Sheldon, Lincoln Arneal, in just a few moments. So we're excited to have them on. A couple of reminders for the rest of the weekend. And in particular, Jack, today, I am filling in for Caleb Henry on today's edition of the Nebraska Ball Hour.
Are you?
Lord help us all.
I was going to say, have you regretted that? You can still back out of this. I mean, I feel very comfortable.
I'm excited.
If you can. Are you? Yeah. You hate basketball. You hate Nebraska basketball.
Everybody always says
you hate.
I love basketball.
That's because of the way you've behaved over the years with it.
Interesting. My tenor and discussions of the sport. No, I love basketball. I'm very excited to join you. So we'll be on it. I mean, it's not a home game, so you don't have to race home. So what?
No, tonight. I'm actually excited about a road game. Yeah, this will be. I look forward to. I mean, this will be the one, obviously, where they lose. Like this, this is nothing against the team. I fully expect them to lose this game against Illinois.
Hater. I picked them to cover.
What is the line?
8.5.
Oh, I mean, that wouldn't necessarily surprise me, but I would be surprised. I mean, if they listen, let me say this. I do not expect them to win. If they win, watch out. Things get weird really fast, just in terms of the level of conversation. They don't have another tough game then until Michigan State on January 2nd, where Michigan State comes to Lincoln and
on a Friday
night at 8:00.
Where everyone's still basically in the holiday mode, barely working and ready to get liquored up downtown. Oh, geez.
Like that. Yeah. Now, the only problem is the students won't be there for it, but the students weren't there when they beat Purdue either. So
that's true. One. Well, nobody was there when they beat Purdue because it was snowing, right? Wasn't there snow on the ground? Or
there might have. That was the night I was at the Lead Center.
Lead Center, yeah, we know. Are you going to go to the Lead Center that Friday night for the Michigan State game?
When they do play Purdue, my daughter has a concert. It's not at the Lead Center, but I'll be at Lincoln East watching orchestra.
Perfect. So, all right. Well, congrats to Nebraska on beating Purdue later this year. That will be very exciting. So yeah, I'm joining Jack today. Nebraska Ball Hour. That'll start a few minutes after Nebraska takes on Illinois. So just go turn on notifications so you don't miss the start of that right here on the I-80 Club YouTube channel. Also, Jack, no Before the Witching Hour tomorrow did not work with our schedule, so we will not be doing one of those. I know that you begin every NFL Sunday. I'll say this in all seriousness. The audience for that pod has grown. People really like our Sunday morning. Now, part of it, I think, has to be the algorithm where they're stumbling upon this random NFL show with me and then a guy who says the F word like 50 times every episode.
He does?
That would be Matt, yeah. But we will not be doing it, sadly, this week, but we'll be back next week, I imagine.
He's pretty excited about swearing on podcasts, huh?
He loves.
Don't want to get to listen. I'll tell you what. I am glad I did not do sweary podcasts at the beginning of my radio career, because
then you would accidentally do it on the radio.
I would be really afraid that if I got, and I still tried not to get too frequent with it for a variety of reasons here, but including that, like I don't want to get. I do worry about that. Like you just kind of get into.
Said some of those words on the radio.
Really?
Well, like once I said the F word one time on the radio, but you're right. You get like a little too comfortable.
John has too.
John has.
I never have.
Yeah,
I never.
That's
said
why I try not to swear as much on the pod.
Yeah. You want to know something, Josh?
Just to kind of keep all the boundaries separate.
We don't. It's a long story, and this is inside baseball, but we don't usually run on a delay.
Who doesn't?
My shows.
What?
I know.
Wow, that's dangerous.
I know.
Don't call into Jack's show and drop an F-bomb.
No
people.
Safety. Now that has happened. Bad words by callers, but that's a little different.
Wow.
It's a little different. But yeah, we don't run. It annoys me a little bit. Like I said, it's not too technical. It's just some internal discussions, right?
Wow. I had no idea. Yeah. Every now and then the way that we describe it is if somebody cusses and then you have to use the dump button, it's like flushing the toilet. You know how you can't go and flush the toilet immediately after you flush the toilet? So if somebody called in right after somebody dropped an F-bomb and then they dropped an F-bomb, that one might make it out over the radio. So that's
because it's got to like re-catch up. Yeah.
It's got to flush. Yeah, exactly. So let's try not to have anybody do that. We're waiting for Lincoln to show up. I'm looking at his thumbnail right now as his
it's okay.
office is empty. Yeah,
it's okay. Oh, I did enjoy the volleyball quite a little bit last night.
I think everybody did last night as they absolutely rolled Kansas. Should we bring in Jeff right now? And
why don't we just bring in Jeff?
All right, perfect. Jeff Sheldon joins us right now. Hello, Jeff.
Excuse me. Good morning. How you guys doing?
Great, man.
How are you? We are
ready to swear. We're ready to do a show this
Drop
morning.
some F-bombs for us, Jeff.
Ass butt.
Hell damn fart.
Earmuffs.
Oh, here's Lincoln. He's coming back.
There he is. Look at this. Perfect.
Jack, did you
timing.
stay up late to watch the volleyball match last night, or did you go to bed like after?
Oh no, I stay up late on. Yeah, I watched the volleyball match. My daughter fell asleep.
It in like 89 minutes for you though.
Yeah, no kidding. I mean, it started late, and I was like, oh man, this is gonna be a late night, but that was pretty fast for a Sweet 16 volleyball match.
I mean, it was done before 11, I think, and it started at 9:25, something like that.
Yeah, we went last night to the Zoo Lights at the Lincoln Zoo, and so we had a 7 o'clock ticket or whatever, which we had booked weeks ago, not knowing this would happen. And so my daughter, we're like on the train at Zoo Lights going around the zoo, and my daughter has her phone watching Louisville and Texas A&M, and I'm like, what are we doing? Like, what are we even doing? We're not even looking, and it's completely freezing. So and I'm like, we're all huddled around a phone on the why did we come? What's going on here? Although Zoo Lights in itself is really underrated in Lincoln. If you've never been, I would strongly recommend it. Like, seriously, it's amazing, but it was kind of funny last night. But we got back for the first serve, so everything was good.
Lincoln, how are you?
Great. Already on to my second interview of the day, or I don't know if it's an interview, but second show of the day. So, it's volleyball season.
Who are you on with first?
I was talking to our good friend Cole Steckenholtz on the Husker.
On KLIN. Look at that. Look at that. We love it.
Yeah.
We love it here. Look, we're doing, assuming they win Sunday, we are doing a full afternoon pregame on Thursday, like a multi-hour pregame.
So, like you get to take the day off type of a Thursday?
I am doing it.
Oh, Jack, that's exciting for you.
I don't know if she told you, but I ran into your boss this week, and she told me about this and basically booked us for you. I hope she told you.
Well, I was like, they're going to be there. I think they might have plans, but yeah.
We'll find something to make it work.
All right. Appreciate that.
Wow. Well, happy to have Jeff Sheldon, Lincoln Arneal, Jeff and Lincoln, if you will, from Volleyball State joining us for this morning's Saturday morning coffee show as Nebraska now sits one victory away from making it to another Final Four. We had you guys on, early in the year, a match or two into the season, right on one of these Saturday morning coffee shows, and I don't think that any of us are surprised that we are now chatting again on December the 13th, and the program sits one win away from another Final Four. But just kind of going big picture first, Jeff and Lincoln, feel free, one of you start. But are you shocked at all by the domination that this program and this particular team has been able to show now for 3+ months running? Where they're barely dropping any sets. That last night was, as one of our commenters, one of our subscribers, D'Lo wrote, I've had bathroom breaks last longer than that match. I mean, it was another
TMI, D'Lo. Jeez.
The common saying
has this shocked you at all?
What we've seen pop up in the last, couple of weeks is the saying this match could have been an email. It's sort of become like the running joke of Nebraska volleyball. I mean, just in my opinion, yeah, I think it is surprising because you don't really see this level of dominance kind of in 2025 when the talent is a little bit more spread out than it was maybe 15, 20 years ago. And the athleticism is just so good in the women's college volleyball game. For one team to kind of do this is really, really impressive. And kind of the thing that I know sounds crazy when I talk about it, and I talk about it on the show with Lincoln too, is like, there are still kind of areas of Nebraska's game where you think they can get better. You're like, this part wasn't super strong, or man, I think, they could go to another level if this player did a little bit better. And then you turn around, you look at the score, and they hold Kansas to the lowest score that's ever been totaled in a Sweet 16 match. And wow, you sound insane because it was like 12-11-12 last night. And just, Kansas didn't really look ready for prime time, but Nebraska kind of makes a lot of teams look that way.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, Nebraska's outside hitters, none of them hit above 300 last night. So they really need to shape up and really kind of step up their game a little bit too. But to go to your question, Josh, I'm not that surprised. Like I think I thought I was really high on this Nebraska team as well too. I think it's the level of dominance that's maybe a little surprising too. But for Nebraska to be in this position, I fully expected it to, and it's fun to watch too. I think that's one thing that Jeff and I have also talked about all season too, is enjoy this dominance, because it's not very often that a team of this caliber comes along. And I think once you saw really that, I mean, Nebraska started the year strong with very big wins against Pittsburgh and Stanford, but I think that Penn State match you saw on that first Friday of October when a similar score too, completely beat down the defending national title, a hobbled defending national title champion. But you saw what Nebraska can do when they're locked in and really focused on doing what they do well. And we've seen that several times this year, including, I think you saw a little bit of it last night against Kansas too. So it's impressive what they can do.
How would you guys rank the toughest matchups for Nebraska potentially going forward in this tournament, either actually or potentially going forward?
Well, I think we've talked on the show a lot this year about Kentucky. To me, seems like the best remaining team besides Nebraska, and those two teams would not meet until the national title match if Kentucky was able to beat Creighton today and win their way there. Texas is probably number 2 in my opinion. And then Pitt, who Nebraska could face in the Final Four if they win on Sunday. But also this A&M team that Nebraska is going to play tomorrow is one of the better teams that a number 1 seed is going to have to face to get to the Final Four. And Lincoln and I talked about that a couple weeks ago on our final or our NCAA tournament breakdown show. Like, Nebraska wasn't exactly seeded like a number 1 overall seed. So this A&M team who they're going to play on Sunday is really pretty good.
Yeah. I think that Kentucky's my number 1. I think that Wisconsin, Texas, whoever wins that is probably the second toughest challenge. But I would put Texas A&M over Pitt as far as level of competition.
Wow.
I mean, Pitt has Olivia Babcock, best player in the country, more than likely, but Texas A&M has multiple people who can beat you. I mean, Logan Lednicki, Kendall Stowers, I find Alcala at middle blocker, where Pitt has one superstar too, where I think A&M has a lot higher overall level from their players too. So I think that I think it's a potential tougher challenge than even Purdue. Nebraska's already beaten Purdue. So what they could see if they make the national semifinal.
Guys, sometimes you'll see in sports like a team go on a crazy run like this, and there is like the chatter of, man, I kind of wish they could get challenged a little bit more. Or like in basketball, I wish they maybe drop one so they don't go into the tournament with like a 30-game winning streak. Like this team, as dominant as they've been, they have had two matches rather go to 5 sets this year. So like they have been challenged at least to some degree. Is that a concern at all? Like, is that a realistic thing to be worried about, that it's been so long since they've been challenged? Like, what were to happen, whether it's tomorrow or in the Final Four or in the championship, if a team punched them in the mouth early?
No, we've talked to them about this multiple times too. They say their level of competition is so high in the practice gym that they're getting pushed and challenged there every single day that they're practicing. So I mean, on the court, this is, I think, the old adage we see with the really good teams too, like practices are harder than the competitions and games. But I think that rings true for this Nebraska team too, because they're so deep, so much talent that that are really what you see in the matches is a result of that too. So we're not seeing it in public, but they're getting pushed a lot in practice.
I think what you don't know yet is, I mean, Nebraska is not playing super close sets right now. I mean, they certainly didn't last night. And I think K-State got to 20 in one of the 3 sets. You don't know how Nebraska is going to react if, like, say they drop game 1 to Texas A&M on Sunday. You know, how do they bounce back from that? Because they haven't played from a deficit, like, I don't know, since that Kentucky match. And that was 3 months ago. Yeah. You also don't know how they're going to are they going to tighten up? Or are they going to play free when it's, say, 21-21 in game 3, where it's tied at 1 set apiece? So, like, there's just things that Nebraska hasn't experienced on the court for a while that you just don't know. But, I mean, from, like Lincoln said, from all indications of what the teams and the coaches are saying, this feels like a very relaxed team.
You guys interact, obviously, with a lot of people in the larger volleyball industry. Can you give us a sense of, like, just the interest level, the perception of this team outside of the bubble that we're in? Like, and is there anything kind of compare? And I know volleyball is still not, I don't know if not even level maybe of women's basketball, but I know, like, UConn women's basketball was there for a while. And what is, you know, is there any, I don't know, is there any comp, and what is that national perception and interest of them? It seems like they're getting all the primetime TV slots at least. So tell me about that.
Yeah, I think television executives know that Nebraska means eyeballs. And I don't know, I feel like Nebraska is sort of analyzed in 2 different ways. There's Nebraska volleyball, the phenomenon, and that's a lot of the ways that you hear some of the national people talk about them. And they're gonna get the primetime TV slots. They are gonna have, like, all the pregame features done on them. But then, you know, you also talk to some of the people that really cover the sport at an analytical level, and they're like, yeah, this is one of the best teams we've ever seen, right? And they're as good as the numbers are telling you that they are. That does not mean that they're unbeatable, and I think we've tried to not set that expectation on Volleyball State, but it's going to have to take a really good team playing at their best to beat Nebraska. And Nebraska's probably going to have a little bit of an off day in a couple of their areas too.
Yeah, I think the number that sticks out to me, you mentioned the chances they had. I think Evolve is a website that does a lot of volleyball analytics too. Before the tournament started, this is a one and done tournament. It gave Nebraska a 55% chance of winning everything, which is just ridiculous given that, I mean, it's every one and done type of environment too. So I think everything that I've talked to, I mean, from the guests we've had on our show, just to people that work in the industry too, is they know that Nebraska is a juggernaut, and it's going to take either a special effort or a really off night from the Huskers to knock them off course. So that's what, again, Jeff and I have to enjoy this journey, because this does not happen very long. Even if it doesn't end up in a national title, there'll be a lot of disappointment, but just the level of play that we've seen from Nebraska this year too has not come around in a while.
What's most impressed you about DBK this year?
You know, I think that it's hard to articulate a little bit, but, like, she is okay not being John Cook. Maybe that's the best way to say it. You know, she has come in, and I think Rebecca Alec did a really nice job talking about this sometime recently in one of the press conferences. But, you know, she is a very different coach and person than John Cook was. And she has allowed the players to kind of feel good being their own selves. And, you know, it's maybe a little bit less intensity and you still have to be intense, right, to get a team to play this well. But, I had a really good conversation with Lainey Choboy after one of the first or second round matches, where she talked about, Danny believes in us. She let us feel free to make mistakes. And so, like, why wouldn't you want to play your best for that? And of course, like, they're going to communicate differently and be different people, because one's a nearly 70-year-old man and one is a 40-year-old woman. And those are very different, people in stages of life. So I think, she hasn't come in, tried to be someone she's not. She's been the best version of herself, which is probably what this version of Nebraska needed to exceed.
Yeah. To me, it's summed up in one word. It's joy. I think Danny she saw us at Louisville too. She built a culture based on that joy. And I think Jeff kind of hit it on that too, that if you're playing for fun, you're playing to enjoy the presence of the other people you're with. It's a lot better than trying to not lose, which I think the expectation of Nebraska has such a high bar that you're trying to reach, that you're afraid of losing, and that makes you play tight. Whereas Danny has really infused this program with joy of, we're having fun. We're going to enjoy being on the court with each other. We're going to enjoy the process as well too, because this is college sports. This is supposed to be fun. So I think that's one thing that's really kind of been at the backbone of the culture that she's built.
One question we had from the Discord, which is a good one. Gino asked about Campbell Flynn. We found out right before the match that she's broke her finger. For those who don't know, she's kind of the second setter, but she's had quite a bit of play this year. Of course, you got Bergen Riley, who's arguably the best player in the nation, in front of her. And so that's good. But obviously the scenario, guys, is if, there would be an issue with Bergen somehow. And I know I heard she was sick this week, but she was fine last night, it looked like. But like, how I asked you the question. I guess the question was how concerning. It doesn't become concerning unless she has an issue, right? Unless Bergen has an issue, which we think is unlikely. But man, it's a little scary not to have a safety net, I suppose.
Yeah. Your margin of error is that much smaller as well too. We asked Danny about this at the press conference last night, and Maisie Bosinger is now the backup setter, which great, but how realistic is to have a 5'6" setter do that? She's not going to be playing front row, I guarantee. That's probably so. There's other options. You lose your margin of error gets that much smaller. But again, Nebraska hasn't really had any moments where they need her. I think the last time was the spring match in Ord, where it was a Campbell Flynn show. So things do happen, but you're this close to the goal. You need 4 more matches from Bergen. So put her in bubble wrap.
Exactly.
And, don't have her do any blocking drills the rest of the practice sessions.
Nope.
Yeah, feed her chicken soup and Sprite and tell her to get plenty of rest.
Hey, what do you guys, away from Nebraska for a moment, what kind of chances do you give Creighton today versus Kentucky? I mean, Jeff, a few minutes ago, you said that you think that they're the team that would maybe give Nebraska the best match moving forward. So I have to imagine that you're like, it's going to be really, really tough for them to break through and get to their first Final Four.
Yeah, I mean, it's just like last year where Creighton had to go on the road and play the eventual national champion, but like played really well and were a couple points either way from winning that match. Like, I have learned to never underestimate Creighton. Creighton, every time you underestimate them, shows you why you're wrong. The reason that, we talk about Kentucky being so good, they have maybe 2 of the best 5 outside hitters in the country in Brooklyn DeLay and Eva Hudson. And they just feed those players over and over again. And you feed them enough balls, they're going to get kills. Kentucky is also a better team than when Nebraska played them in the first place back in September. So I don't think that Creighton is certainly the favorite in this match, but Creighton wasn't the favorite in the last match that they won either, and won that. So Kentucky drops sets all the time to teams that you don't think that they will too. So I think is at least going to get a set today. And if this ended up being a 5-setter, it wouldn't shock me.
Yeah, Jeff, you said you shouldn't underestimate Creighton, but I have all year too. I think I was even on Nebraska Public Media's Volleyball State, and Larry Putney asked me, "Hey, is Creighton going to make the Elite 8?" I'm like, "No, I don't think so," and was very confident.
Well, that was back in August? Like, we have a whole season now to see.
Well, heck, they didn't even play well in their opener of the tournament. It's like I was following some like Creighton fans on Twitter that were there, and they were like, "Oh my gosh, what is about to happen right now?" And here they are in the Elite 8 again.
They were playing full strength Penn State, who was that version was a very good team. But to me, I think it's a couple. I mean, Arneal Mater, the setter, has really come into her own. I think that was one of the question marks I had coming into the season was who's going to replace Kendra Wade, and they found a great replacement in the transfer from California, and it's really kind of blossomed too. I mean, Ava Martin, I think, really gets a lot of accolades, and she deserves them too. But Kiara Reinhart has really emerged. She had an amazing match. I don't have the stats in front of me, but she was
hit, like 700.
Yeah, she was like 12 for 19 or whatever, something like that, like where she was just very terminal and provides another option for them and also good blocking. So they've really, I mean, Brian Rosen has done a great job of taking the pieces and getting them to perform and raise their level of play to the point where they're still playing in one of the Elite Eight spots too. So Creighton's done a great job too. I'm with Jeff too. It's a very tall task, but again,
yeah.
We didn't think Creighton would be this far, and here they are. So we'll see if what they can do against Kentucky. But I again also am picking the Wildcats.
I've got a question that I don't want it to go into a place where it's more that's uncomfortable. So I'll try and ask it in the best possible way. But
good.
There are some. I mean, listen. I think we know based on the kind of the personalities, the social media, and everything on this team. There are some players on this team that wouldn't otherwise probably be close for a lot of reasons, maybe. And there have been discussions about that. I mean, Rebecca Alex has been outspoken about what she believes. Harper Murray to some degree has. And then you got geographic, all kinds of different things, which you have on any college team. But I don't know, like I think there have been people trying to even say this year, people have been in our mentions, Josh, like, hey, why aren't you talking about the rift?
Why aren't you talking about this?
Right? Why aren't you? And I'm sure you guys have had way more of that than we have. Like, I haven't ever seen that. Guy. I haven't even seen that. I don't know. I've seen a couple, but anyway, but like the thought is still there when people think and talk about this team. And again, I don't necessarily want to go into that necessarily, but I haven't ever seen anything that looks like it. In fact, I've seen like just the opposite, which I think is always a fascinating thing about college sports generally. There isn't really a lab like that in many other places where you combine different geographic backgrounds, different races, different politics, different upbringings together, and then they've got to function like that. I mean, it really doesn't happen many other places.
Where else are you going to get a Italian who's best friends with a girl from rural Colorado? So
people, different countries, even yeah.
And I think, Jack, to go to this point, I mean, go watch Harper Murray's TikToks that she put out this week, where she gifted her teammates all these free swag from Adidas too. I mean, Harper is genuinely nervous before giving all of her teammates this free stuff too. I mean, because it means so much to her that she really does appreciate her work too, and then just the pure joy that these women, young women, are showing each other for Adidas shoes and luggage as well. The connection that this team has, again, it goes back to my kind of premise of Danny building this foundation of joy and trust and happiness that really kind of has emulated or infiltrated every aspect of this program.
To me, this is one of the best parts about college, whether it's college sports or not. This is the importance of higher education, is you get to bring these people from different places and different backgrounds and put them together, whether it's on a volleyball team or a basketball court or just a classroom, to be exposed to different ideas and different kinds of people. Like, how boring would our lives be if everyone we knew thought the same way and believed the same things and had the same experiences? Like, there's enough of that in the state of Nebraska right now. And so I think it's a wonderful thing that you have someone from place A and place B who have a different set of beliefs maybe, and maybe they could talk about them and understand each other and realize that they're still all on the same team and love each other and work for the common goal. That's kind of the whole point of higher education, and I wish more people valued that.
It's a good example, is kind of what I'm saying, for the that you can not only coexist, you can work together, you can be teammates, you can love each other, that sort of thing. I'm getting into a way weird place, but I think about that a lot.
It does not seem to be, if the people who are concerned about this are concerned that it's going to cause like the downfall of the team, I think we probably would have seen that by now.
Absolutely.
Don't think that
I'm no worries
like in the top 5 biggest, concerns I would have about Nebraska volleyball winning a national title.
Yeah.
Also, Alec is locked in as hell right now.
Yeah.
I mean, she looks like, everybody's looking great. She looks like she's on a freaking mission right now.
We talked to her. I talked to her after the game last night, and just kind of a small outside the locker room, and we asked her, "Hey, you went 9 for 9. Well, how do you explain that to?" And she said, "My motto right now is to kill everything."
It's all,
Last night she did. She did.
She
Hit him
wants
so hard his girlfriend.
I don't know if she said it or not, but I know she wants Texas. Like she wants this whole team has to want Texas so bad.
I saw an interview she did with some other media outlet too. That most of the time you're afraid to give bulletin board material or call out opponents too, but there's some bad blood between Texas from that national title match a couple years ago. That she wants her revenge. She's not afraid of it. And I think Nebraska has to show no reason why they need to not have that attitude.
Hey, Jeff, let me ask you this. You just said, the relationship between the teammates wouldn't be among your top 5 reasons that they couldn't win a national championship. Like how many things can you actually name that you believe in on concerns as to why they won't win a national championship?
Bergen Riley gets hurt.
Well, yeah, I mean, everyone's got to be healthy, right? And this is cold and flu season. And, I sometimes worry that a really good serving team can make it hard for Nebraska to get in system and set their middles. Sometimes Nebraska did a great job of serving Kansas last night, but they're not going to be the team that strings up the most aces. So if you run into a team like Kentucky or Texas with excellent pin hitters, or Wisconsin, and Nebraska allows the other team to be in system, that could be a problem. And I just think Nebraska's pin hitters have to be more terminal. And it sounds insane, right? For a team that hit, what was it? Got the numbers here, 450 last night. But then you look at all of that came from the middles who didn't have any errors and put up these crazy numbers. Harper Murray's killing 1/3 of her balls. Taylor Landfair killed about 1/3 of her balls. And you'd like to get that, closer to 50% like Wisconsin. But, I have to keep telling myself that's not who Nebraska is. Like Wisconsin's pin hitters carry them. Texas's pin hitters carry them. Kentucky certainly does. Nebraska just does it a different way. They don't have the country's most terminal outside hitters, but they do have the best middle blocker duo in the country. And Bergen Riley does such a great job running that offense and Nebraska plays such great defense, you can kind of get by with it. Lincoln and I used to say on the show until this year when Nebraska set a school record for hitting percentage, that Nebraska is the Iowa football of volleyball. They will beat you with defense and special teams and serve, block, and defense. And they don't always have a great offense. And this year they do.
Well,
but
I'm out.
Yeah,
that's it. I'm out.
Dak has washed his hands of the entire team. So those are just a couple of things, right? And you're like you're just looking for things that can go wrong, right? At this point. And I think Jalen Reyes has said this too. Like his job is to find areas where they can get better. And Landfair and Murray, I think last night started with 1 kill in their first 10 attempts combined. And you're like, oh man, this Kansas could find their way out of first gear. That could be trouble. And then they just never did.
Yeah. I think my earlier interview too, they were asking me questions like, is it a worry that Nebraska hasn't had a close set too? I'm like, maybe, but like Nebraska's been so dominant. I mean, the reason Nebraska hasn't had a close set is because they've been playing so good that they haven't had to deal with it. So I think I'd add that onto the list of Jeff's top 5 reasons, even though, I'm going to speak for Jeff, sorry, on our list of top 5 reasons why. So I think that, and but again, the other, if you want to start inventing things where Nebraska, just the constant lineup changes they've gone to of kind of switching players, switching libero jerseys. But again, Nebraska has proven impervious to all of these changes and just whatever gets thrown at them, they deal with too. I mean, Nebraska's 33-0 for a reason too, and all the matches have different scripts. So they've shown they can handle most anything that's thrown at them.
I know we're going longer than we said we're going to, but I don't care. One of the last night, some of the ridiculous defense, just like the pinball, quick things. I mean, frick, Olivia Mock kicked one.
Yeah, Hokey Stir here in the comments says like the Littles played out of their minds last night.
It was like boo, 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 boo. It was like pinball a couple of times. It was I don't know if I've seen.
But on the same rally, Harper Murray made one of the craziest one-handed digs like I've ever seen, and people aren't talking about that because she used her hand, not her foot.
Right.
And
but they didn't. If they would have won that point, if they would have won that point,
it
would be everywhere.
That might be one of the areas that I used to be concerned about that I'm not really anymore. Lainey Choboy has been playing out of her mind, not just defensively. She's passing better now, and her serve has become a real weapon too. She might be the most improved server on the team. So, I mean, whether it's Lainey or Malk wearing the libero jersey, and I think it's just going to be Choboy going forward in my guess. It's the back row has played so well in this tournament.
Yeah. You saw even last night too, though. They gave Taylor Landry a little run in the back row too, and she held up okay. I think Danny Busboom Kelly had said that Trey Sigler maybe just tweaked her back a little bit. I saw something she didn't like in warm up, so I just wanted to give Sigler a little bit time to get warmed up and kind of ease into the match a little bit too. So I mean, they're add that to the list too. But yeah, the back row. I think Matt Ulmer even said this, like, to find something where you can exploit, you just have to nitpick the littlest thing, and Kansas couldn't find anything.
Hey, let me ask you this last question from me. You think DBK is happy, like, sneakily or maybe outspokenly, that they're not having to play Louisville just to not have to deal with that, like, discussion? Or, like, I mean, they're going to take care of business, I imagine, tomorrow, but, like, just that is a story that they don't have to worry about going into this one?
This was something I talked about on the show last week, or when the tournament came out, so a couple of weeks ago, that I personally am glad that they're not going to have to play Louisville, because there's just so much stuff that's wrapped up in that. Although Danny would obviously have a pretty good scout on Louisville. I don't know that if the players would have affected that very much, but I'm sure, Cook has talked about before when they played Wisconsin in the 2000 national championship match, a team that he had like recruited all of those players. He wasn't even able to enjoy it. He didn't enjoy winning a national title and going undefeated because it came at the expense of players that he loved. And I'm sure there
cold shoulder.
It would have been an element of that for Danny Busboom Kelly as well.
Yeah. I think Louisville may have been impacted more because they're seeing their former coach there, but Nebraska would have been, all right, someone else, boop, knock them down too. So instead, what storyline we do get, which I'm going to write about later today, former high school teammates Ali Czech and Logan Lednicki are going up against each other too. So imagine going against them in high school. They were actually a quite mediocre high school team for all that talent that they had on that roster too. So that's the storyline we get today instead. So it's but I think Danny, she's probably disappointed and hurting for Louisville today too, but I think, and part of her, Josh, I agree, is a little excited she doesn't have to answer all those questions about facing them or sit on the other bench on Sunday.
All right, Jeff Sheldon, Lincoln Arneal from Volleyball State. What are the plans for Sunday, given that the time that you guys usually roll, there will be an Elite Eight match going on?
I think we're still going to do the show at the regular time, which would be 7:00 Central Time on Sunday for I-80 Club subscribers. And so we'll be probably doing some live look-ins at the second or the last Elite Eight match. But if the Nebraska match starts at 2:30, it'll be over by 5 at the latest, and Lincoln will have time to do his writing and go to post game, and then we'll saddle up and talk about the Final Four, whether Nebraska's in it or not. And then if Nebraska does make the Final Four, we'll both be in Kansas City on Thursday and do some fun stuff from down there.
Yeah. Awesome. Yeah. Well, we're talking about doing live shows down there, some extra special interviews. All of it depends on what happens on Sunday. So we'll see how that goes, but we will have a show where we will break down everything from the regional semifinal better than any other podcast you'll find in the land. So join us then, become a Patreon. You're already a Patreon member here too. So we don't know. Tell your friends to sign up for Patreon. That's what we want you to do.
If we had the number of people who are joining us live right now on our live show on Sunday night, I would be over the moon.
Yeah. So. Well, and come join us. We'll have a mini watch along as Texas and Wisconsin are playing as well too. So I'll have that on my side TV over here too. So we'll give a live update so that it will be outdated by the time the masses get it on Tuesday. Mm-hmm. So join us live. Have us watch one of Nebraska's heated rivals win, and one of them go down in flames. So we'll see whoever that is.
Check it out. Patreon.com/I80 Club. If you are not a subscriber already, we would love to have you, and you get access to Volleyball State's episodes before they are released publicly on Tuesdays, plus all the bonus episodes that they do as well. Jeff, Lincoln, this was awesome. Yeah. Thank you so much for joining us on this Saturday morning.
Yeah, thanks, guys.
Go Navy, beat Army.
All right, that is Jeff Sheldon and Lincoln Arneal. That was fun, Jack.
Yeah, man, I'm so glad we're affiliated with those guys. That's awesome.
Me too.
They the national college football pundits aren't really talking about you and I's takes on college football or basketball, to be honest, but they kind of are about those guys on volleyball. So
Yeah, they're getting it done. They're getting it done. They have been such a fun addition now for the course of 2025. They joined us the day that John Cook retired, and that was an accident. They recorded an episode, their first episode recorded for us. At the very end of it, Lincoln's getting a bunch of text messages saying, I think something's going down. I think something's going down. Sure enough, something was indeed going down.
Wild timing. Their first ever podcast that I did with them years ago was the week after the Memorial Stadium game. Right.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah.
Incredible.
So,
incredible.
Good stuff.
Jack, we got about 15 minutes or so left on this edition of the Saturday Morning Coffee Show. You and I will be back later today to talk about Nebraska and Illinois in volleyball, or in basketball rather. What you and I haven't talked a whole lot of hoops just yet. Yeah. Okay. So never mind. I was going to do a basketball conversation, but you just want a classic.
No, let's hit some football. We'll go. Well, I mean, we'll do it afterward. I mean, let's do some football. Let's do some football because this is kind of a newsy week. It was kind of a big week.
Yeah, I guess that's true. We haven't really hit on anything, certainly not in a public forum, on what's happened with Nebraska football over the last few days, as there are some coaching changes that have gone down, and we're still just kind of awaiting word on other roster announcements that could happen. Now we know for sure. I can't remember if we have done a show since we knew for sure that Emmett Johnson would not be playing in the bowl game, that he would be going professionally. They have a new defensive coordinator. They fired their defensive line coach. Let's see, what else am I missing? They have a new offensive line coach as well. So a lot of stuff is going on. What's the thing that is jumping out to you the most right now with Nebraska?
Well, yeah, I mean, I guess just the comment that Rule he's not standing pat. In terms of last year, the coaching changes. I mean, I don't know if this is what we would have expected. Right after the Iowa game, that there were going to be this many changes. Maybe we would have. But it'll be interesting to see if there's still any more to come, or people decide, if there are other opportunities that come along after it as well. But this will be kind of it'll be a pretty new look, even with what you have right now. It's going to be a pretty new look coaching staff. Even with even if you keep, Holgerson and Barthel and Shorts on the offensive side, and then you still have Addison Williams and Dvorak on the defensive side. Assuming they all stay, you still have turned over almost half your coaching staff in terms of position coaches and coordinators. And it's just going to be fascinating to see what the impact of that is. The one thing he's been willing to do is kind of a short leash on some of these coaching jobs, which makes it feel like there's. And he's not, if this is what he thinks, he's not wrong. There's some urgency right now. There's some urgency.
Absolutely there is. Going into year
this
4.
thing. I just don't know how fast you can. The thing is, you did it with Eckler, and that's always going to be the thing, right? That is sort of the ultimate evidence for if you get the right guy in a coaching position, it can make all the difference in the world. Now, I think special teams is a little different because it's not as personnel dependent as any other position outside of the kicker and the punter themselves.
And the snapper, I guess, and holder, as we learned last year.
Yeah, those specialists, but it's just it feels like that coordination job has got more to do with scheme versus personnel than scheme, personnel, motivation. I don't know, whatever you want to call it, than any of the other coaching positions. And they are more dependent on difficult to get personnel, if that makes sense. Meaning, I think it's easier to turn it around more quickly and harder to have that expectations for other assistant coaches. Not that it can't be done, but that's what the hope is here. And if any of those position coaches or coordinators can make that kind of a turnaround this year, it'll be that's what they need, but it'll be hard. And it's going to depend what they're able to do with personnel too. It's going to depend on who they're portaling in, basically, long story short.
Yeah, Mr. Noah 2, which is one of our new subscribers. We would love to have you become a subscriber today.
Hello,
Patreon.com/I80 Club. Asks, is there any word on Dana? So Dana interviewed for the TCU job earlier this week. TCU did end up hiring a coordinator. So at the very least, he will not be going to TCU to be their offensive coordinator. We will see. I'd been told earlier in the offseason, which is 2 weeks old now, that, perhaps he was also going to try to get one of maybe like a lower tier head coaching job. But that his time at the end at Houston was hurting his prospects a little bit. If he's interviewing for that OC job, is he interested in other OC jobs, or was it just TCU in particular? Because that's where he was before he joined Nebraska. What was he, Jack, an analyst there throughout the course of the 2024 season until he joined Nebraska? So that's a long way of saying there's nothing on him at this point in time because TCU ended up filling that role. But if you would have told me, Jack, at the beginning of the season that Dana would be interested in leaving the program to take the same job at another school, I would have said, wow, that's not really what I expected, so I wonder what's going on there.
Let me ask you one other question, Josh. And I know you've said on your show and some other places that you think, and you're not the only one who said this at all, that you think it's more likely that Dylan Raiola leaves than stays, although anything can always happen.
Sure.
Is that because you believe that when Donovan Raiola was dismissed, Dylan Raiola went into an emotional shell and was not able to handle his feelings? That's the reason, right? That you've always said.
Excellent question. That's exactly what I said.
That's what my understanding is, and is that the case? Is that why it was? Yeah, no problem.
Yeah, definitely. No, the canary in the coal mine is not Donovan Raiola getting fired. It was the perplexing nature of the Dayton Raiola decommitment and thus subsequent unsigning anywhere. He is not signed with any school. And so why would you decommit from a school so late in the game? And everyone, the excuses are flying like, well, he probably realized he wasn't going to start anytime soon. Bro, that was the case the entire time he was committed to Nebraska. I'll be honest, I don't really have a good lean right now on Dylan Raiola and what's going to happen. I've had it theorized to me, Jack, that there is just not another school that is willing to pay what Nebraska is paying right now, and that he isn't finding maybe an answer elsewhere that he could get at Nebraska. And so, I think there's, as you just said a second ago, there's very much a possibility that he returns to the program in 2026. I think that's absolutely on the table right now, Yeah.
I mean, listen,
but
I think
the emotional state of him.
But just to be clear, that was never
no.
If anything, if I'm understanding what you're saying just that the decision not to retain Donovan was not inconsistent with what you had previously thought about the likelihood that he would leave. I mean, listen, there were people there were people around the program who thought weeks ago there was a good chance he wasn't going to be there next year. But again, things can always change too, right? Or you can't find a great place to go. But there's no doubt there was that thought there. And you wonder, has the injury hurting his prospects, Jack? Like, let's say you game it out like that he wanted to leave if he did want to leave. And I think
that probably hurts him.
I know that was there a few weeks ago, and I know since then the way Matt Rule has talked about it, the Dayton thing, the Donovan thing, just none of those things do anything to tamp that down so far. Could other things be happening in the background that we don't know about or I don't know about? Absolutely. But I haven't heard of any of those yet, other than some people seeming to have confidence that he's staying now, and maybe they're right on that. Mm-hmm. But I just wanted to make clear and that people understand that we're not spending all our time fighting straw men that have never existed. Yeah. So
yeah. Okay. No, I think you hit on something really well there. In terms of kind of the expectation and why it's been that way. Matt Rule has absolutely changed his tenor and tone when he's talking about him, right? When he's answering questions at the press conferences. You and I everybody had an opinion at some point over the last 2 years, like, wow, he does talk about Dylan differently than he talks about the other players. And now I would say the same thing, but like from the opposite perspective. Like now when Rule answers questions about him, it is different. It is different than it's been at any point over the first, 2 years.
Let me ask you this. Aside from trying to predict what he's going to do, let's say he stays. Okay. Let's say he stays. How do you avoid what happened last year? Is it just about upgrading the offensive line? I guess just a lack of as we talked about it, there wasn't much of a deep threat. There was the offense had its moments, but it definitely was not outside of Emmett Johnson. It wasn't super dynamic, I guess. Mm-hmm. Right. It felt like you had the weapons and they weren't able to take advantage of them in the way they wanted. And I know, again, the biggest problem was however you want to put it on, a variety of people, I think, but the pressure that Dylan Raiola, just the inability, right? You had somebody in the backfield constantly. Like, what is the key? Let's just say Dylan Raiola is staying. Let's assume like Dana Holgerson is staying. So there's no completely new scheme. Like, what are the possibilities for kind of turning this thing around and getting Dylan Raiola to that point where it's, hey, because like if he had left, there's a part of me that would not be surprised, and I don't know, but do not surprised if you went to another school and then all of a sudden you're like, geez, that's what we expected, right? Mm-hmm. There's a part of me that thinks that could be possible. Like, how could you get that at Nebraska if that's within him? If we're not just saying, well, he's just not as good as we thought he was.
It's a great question. I mean, D'Lo writes on our Discord server, it was more Dylan than the line. Sam pointed out a couple moments before he broke his leg and he was already fairly immobile. Like, Jack, I mean, they have a new offensive line coach, so in theory, things are going to change, hopefully for the better. But I mean, it's hard for me not to answer this question and immediately think of him and how can he get better and how can he do a better job of,
maybe that's
of avoiding pressure, right? Like I really tend to think that it is. He needs to figure out a way. I mean, I think you can have two separate conversations about him in the pocket.
Stop real quick. Stop. Let me interject one thing, because I want to hear that. But keep in mind, like, we went over this last time. I can't remember we did a show, but like we saw way more of the flashes of him, like unscared isn't the word. Less conservative Dylan Raiola in the beginning of his freshman year. And like the flashes of possible greatness.
Correct.
And so I don't think those are gone, but we haven't seen them for a while.
It's been a while. And so like, I would say that inside of the pocket, there are two things, that you can talk about with him. One is his just mobility in general and being a more mobile, faster, quicker quarterback. The other, Jack, is just feel, And so like, I would tend to think that the latter is more fixable than the former, because sometimes, I mean, look, I know a lot of people have talked about his weight over the years, and I'm not wanting to do that at this moment in time. I tend to think that he is just not ever going to be as mobile as people think he can be. Everyone always makes it sound so easy. He just needs to get faster. Okay, I don't think that that's really that possible. But can he have a better feel for the pocket? Like, I think that is something that a quarterback, I think they can learn it, or I think they can improve at it, because so often in the games this year, Jack, some of those sacks, he stepped into them. It wasn't just that Nebraska's offensive line was on the struggle bus a lot, but I also think that there were times where he himself was on the struggle bus inside of the pocket. And I know there was a podcast that Caleb Henry and Mike Schaefer did back at the early part of the season. It might have been after the Michigan game, essentially along those lines, that once he gets hit early, it kind of changes everything in terms of how he operates. So like, that's how, to answer your question, that's how it would happen. In my opinion, it would be he is better inside of the pocket and he is able to, adapt and adjust. And if there is some early pressure, it doesn't kind of spook him there. It did. Jack, I could not agree with you more. I thought it got worse. I think it's getting worse over the course of his career.
Remember when we watched the highlights of his touchdown during that show, his freshman year, and we were like, whoa, these were better than I remembered them.
We did. For those who are wondering,
it was the highlights, but yeah,
we did a bonus episode a week and a half ago, and whatever reason why we stumbled across talking about him at the beginning of his career, and we were watching some of the UTEP highlights, and it was like, wow. I mean, he really did look like a different type of quarterback, not competition based. It wasn't because it's UTEP. No, he just looked different. There was a different way about him and how he threw the football and how he moved, and that's the part. Like, is that guy still in there somewhere, right?
Yeah.
Is essentially what we're asking.
It's how he moved, that sort of thing. But it was also just, man, there was for better or worse, it feels like, and I don't know where it's coming from, but you watch those games and you compare him to later, last year especially, and there's just kind of it feels like there's a mentality of conservatism, of I don't know if it's turnover avoidance. It's just not taking gambles very often, not taking those shots that could be, really difficult, great throws, great plays. It's just not playmaking. You know what I mean? I don't know where that came from this year, but it just feels like that element of him somehow got really lessened. I don't know if it was by his volition. I don't know if it was by the offensive coordinator's volition. I don't know if it's got to do with him physically. I don't know what it is, but that's one of the biggest things that I noticed this year, in addition to everything else that's been mentioned.
Yeah, absolutely. And so if he comes back, all the reports are that he'll be ready to go for spring ball. He'll be ready to go by February. So in theory, Jack, he's there with the practicing with whomever his new teammates are, working with the new coaches, whomever they are. Is his offensive coordinator back again? Let's see if that ultimately ends up happening. Who are the running backs? Which receivers return? Which receivers leave? Who's he throwing the ball to? And then, of course, how much better is the offensive line?
Because let me say this. I don't know what I think. There's different varieties of opinions we're seeing on the Discord about the potential for that ceiling to get back to where it was, or to reach that ceiling again, or how high that ceiling is. But Matt, we've got to realize, if you're Matt Rule, you've got to be asking yourself these questions too.
Of course,
if you have enough urgency about this next season that you're making significant coaching changes, that is at least as important in terms of an evaluation as anything. And if that's not there, if he has that belief that, yeah, maybe he's not going to be right for us, or he's not going to reach his ceiling here, like, there's got to be a part that's on his end on this thing that's saying, look, we can't. I'm not saying he's saying this, so don't come and but there is a scenario where he's got to say, I don't know if we got to take a step fast, and I'm not totally sure he's the guy to do it.
Jack, that's the question. Can he reach the level that you thought he could, and can he reach the level that the program needs him to reach?
And if you truly do believe that, you try and keep him. You try and keep him, and I don't blame you for that.
100%.
But
100%.
if you I just think that's another thing. So much of the focus on this discussion is, what does Dylan want to do? What does this family want to do? Right?
What does Nebraska want to do?
There's two sides of this thing, to be honest.
Yeah. Well, there's then the follow up. It's like a chart. Okay, let's explore the idea for a moment. Nebraska decides their future is best without him. So then, who is the quarterback? Is it TJ Lateef? I don't think that they can approach the offseason thinking that it's that way. I think you have to bring in another quarterback competition. Like I've been saying it for weeks. You have to go after a quarterback like you don't have a quarterback moving forward. It's especially, I guess I don't know if I'd go there all the way if Dylan returns. I'd still want them to. I don't think they would. But if Dylan leaves, then you have to recruit. You have to bring in a portal guy like you don't have a current quarterback. And I think Fight hits on an interesting note. Rule needs to ask himself what he wants the offense to be and start working towards that.
Yeah.
I think that's a great way to describe it. And is the offense, that's the weird part, Jack. What it seems like they want the offense to be does not look like a Dylan Raiola type quarterback, just given the other guys that they have gone after in high school recruiting in particular.
And again, there's debate on how much this is happening, but I think it definitely has happened to some point, and that is kind of centering all of your plans around Dylan Raiola, which you do when you get a top quarterback recruit, right? I don't blame them of that for the outset, but you've got to kind of shift that mentality now. And it's not saying he's not a part of the plan. He can't be a part of the plan. But on the other thing, it's kind of like what Dave says, right? It's about the offense now, and it's not about maintaining this, making sure he's happy and he stays. Okay. I would assume that's where Rule is at this point. Maybe he does, maybe you can make it work, but the main focus is not building around him. It's finding out if you can build what you want with him, basically.
Yeah.
If that makes sense.
Yeah.
By the way, somebody, I was going to say, Mr. Noah asked, do you see an announcement coming from this week? I would hope sometime soon. It's a good question. I don't know exactly, because I don't think there's the longer it takes, the more that I think the situation is unsure.
Oh, see, the longer it takes, I think that it means he's staying. Because then it's just going to be like, yeah, why did they have to announce anything?
Well, I guess
that's almost how I wonder if the play is going to be, right?
I meant more. I meant more he doesn't have a destination, I guess. So it's
yeah, I agree with you. Yes, for sure. Yeah. So I think the longer this goes on, I think the more likely it is that he's staying. And I know that the quick retort is, hey, the portal doesn't open until the 2nd. Yeah, but we're hearing about guys' intentions to enter into the portal. And so, I'm with you there. Alex says, I feel like we know what he wants out of a defense now, at least. I still have no idea what he wants on offense other than run the ball, whatever that means. Yeah. And then Fight says, and speaking of running ball, there's no running back RB1 on the roster either. Yeah, there is not. And so that's why, the next few weeks before January 2nd are going to be interesting to see, just kind of hear things behind the scenes. But Jack, once you get to January 2nd, then it's full go. It is go time. And they have to upgrade. They got to do upgrades at a lot of spots, but in particular running back. And you would hope, coming off of the season Emmett Johnson just had, you would hope that is a spot that they are able to really recruit strongly for and say, look at what we did last year. Come and be the same thing this year. Come and be an All-American. Come and be a first-team All-Conference running back. They've been able to say that in a decade. That's something that you can absolutely sell.
Look at what EJ Barthel has done with this guy, right? Look at where he went from year 1 to year 2 to year 3 when he was playing here.
Bingo.
Yeah, and especially if he starts to get projecting as a higher and higher draft pick, that'll be huge. Look, in terms of real quick, we'll have time to talk more about the bowl, but in terms of and I understand people's lack of enthusiasm for this specific matchup, just because Nebraska seems like they're in such a disadvantageous position with the matchup, with the quality.
Kyle Whittingham is indeed
retired. With Kyle Whittingham now retired, well, actually, did you see football?
Whatever is happening, weird.
So this maybe mitigates it a tiny bit. Like he may not
technically not retiring.
May not be like, oh, we're sending him off as his ending his career into the sunset at Utah. He might be looking to go somewhere else, which is
very
unbelievably fascinating. Because if you're him, you don't really go. I don't think you go like be a coordinator. He would be a huge top pick for so many schools. Hell, imagine, I'm not saying this is going to happen, has any chance of happening, but if Michigan had a chance to kick the tires on him, don't you think they would?
That's interesting. That's a really interesting question. He would certainly kind of stem the tide a little bit, right? He would certainly do that. He's old. And so do they want an old coach?
I know, but that's what Michigan needs to get off of this freaking Harbaugh tree and that whole thing. And get back to sort of that identity that they've got, and someone who's stabilizing and has got a squeaky clean, and that is Kyle Whittingham. If I were Michigan, I would be calling it. I don't think it's going to happen, but
Alex says not retiring, trouble in paradise. Yeah, so he is resigning, I guess, Jack. Like he is finishing his career at Utah, but they were very particular. Was this yesterday? Right, this was yesterday that the news came down. They were very particular in saying he is not retiring. He is not retiring from coaching in college football. And so very, very, very odd. We talked about it a couple of weeks ago. He had to announce this. What did Jack, was it last Friday? He had to let his intentions know.
Yeah, that's what 5th, I kept saying.
It was.
He had to tell everyone, he had to let his athletic director know, yes, last Friday. And so everyone was like, well, we haven't heard anything. But he didn't have to make it publicly known. And so they obviously figured out a public rollout for the whole thing and put it out at the end of last week.
Yeah. God, very strange. Yeah. So maybe you're right. Maybe it does mitigate it a little bit.
Like, couldn't they be a little can you imagine, like, if you're a player, the difference between he's retiring and he's leaving and maybe going,
and he maybe is coaching a different school next year. Yeah. It is certainly a little different. Yeah. Very odd.
Nebraska's winning. It's over. Nebraska's winning. But the only thing, what I was going to say, and I didn't get to, is like, The interesting thing for me about that game will be, what TJ Lateef does in that game, for right or for wrong, is really going to go a long way in a lot of discussions coming up for next year.
Yeah. I feel like we you had the first game against UCLA and it was so fun and it was against a defense that was, porous. And then the Penn State game script never really got going. They obviously did not trust him to throw the football, even though he ended up throwing the ball a ton. All of that came when the score was much in doubt. Or not in doubt anymore, rather. And then the Iowa game, he gets hurt, and so it just completely changes everything. And so I think he is a very interesting player. I don't know if he ever really, I don't want to say fair shake because that implies like the coaches didn't give him a fair shake, but like game script and injury did not give him a fair shake to see, like what type of quarterback he could really be. And a bowl game you know, you and I, of course, have different views of the importance of bowl games. Like, I don't know if that would be the situation that would either. I don't know. It's just, well, I hope you're right. I mean, at the very least, he'll be healthy again, which would be good.
Well, okay, a couple of things. Yeah, first of all, I said, ask me after Iowa, and I'll tell you what I think of him. I still can't.
And I feel like we know less now.
So I was
a month and a half ago.
So that, to your point, I agree with that. And then just on, I don't necessarily, it's not necessarily about the importance of bowl games. It's just about the fact that I enjoy having them on and watching them when others don't.
Sure.
So, I acknowledge that this Nebraska game is less. I mean, if you're talking about just the Nebraska game, it's hard for me to even get up about this game too, for a variety of reasons, just because there's so many other questions and it feels like such a bad matchup, and you don't have your best player. And so I understand that feeling about this game, but my bigger point about bowls is just I still like them. I still like that they're on.
That's fair. You're happy that they exist, and we're happy that
starting
today, the LA Bowl. So freaking odd.
Washington and Boise, the Chris Peterson Bowl.
So weird. The last LA Bowl, Jack. Name your top 5 LA Bowls.
Oh man, so many. It's like picking between my children. I don't have a favorite.
Understandable. Actually, I think that there have been almost as many LA Bowls as you have children. There have been like 3 or 4. So we're near the end. Yeah, we're near the end of it. We appreciate everybody for hanging out with us today. We appreciate Jeff Sheldon, Lincoln Arneal joining us for way longer than we expected and asked. I guess they asked us, so who cares how long that they were? That was their fault if they didn't want to join us for 40 minutes. Hey, who knew that we would keep asking questions?
Our viewers went down since they left, so they must have been doing a good job.
Yeah, the Volleyball State Hive continues to roll on. A reminder: the Nebraska Ball Hour. Let the record show. I wanted to talk Husker hoops today on this podcast, but Jack said, no, we can't do it because people would yell at us. So that's why we didn't do that here. But
the shelf life will be longer. The shelf life.
That's true. That's true. So we'll be back later on today. Again, because it is a road game, we'll be able to hop on pretty much whenever. I think, what do? You wait until after the Fred Hoiberg presser?
Yeah, roughly. Interview? That's only 10, 15 minutes. We'll go about maybe 10, 15 minutes after the game ends.
Perfect. So assuming it ends at 5, we'll be on at about 5:15. So turn on notifications. That link is already available here on the IAD Club YouTube channel, and we will see you tonight for that one. Hopefully I don't bring a curse. Jack, I've done one of these before, and it was the Northwestern game last year when Nebraska – was that the game that they were getting killed and they came back? That was Northwestern last year, was it not? Or was it Penn State?
Northwestern that was when I was in Arizona. I was in the pool.
That's the one I did. Yes, that's right. Yeah. God, that was so funny. So I'm 1-0. Nebraska's 1-0 when I do the post-game show. So we'll see what happens later today. So that'll be, again, 5:15-ish, somewhere thereabouts. And then tomorrow, no Before the Witching Hour, much to Jack's chagrin, but there will be a Volleyball State for subscribers tomorrow night at 7. Will Nebraska
subscribe if you want to watch it?
Yeah, will they be in the Final Four? Will they be in the Final Four? Wow.
Tell your friends, if they're just volleyball fans, subscribe to the Volleyball State tier. If you think they'd like everything, hey, you can gift subscriptions too.
Yeah, right? What a great
nice
holiday
gift.
Wow.
Send it to a volleyball fan today so they can watch the show tomorrow.
Send your grandpa QR code to the I-80 Club. All right. Thanks, everybody, for joining us. Give us a like and a subscribe on the way out the door if you're new here. We appreciate it. And we'll be back later tonight for a Nebraska Ball Hour. For Jack, I'm Josh. Have a great Saturday. Happy shoveling, everybody. We'll talk to you later. Bye-bye.